Welcome, people. We are here live again on the fifth quarter podcast, and this is a special edition tonight. And we have someone that I've been trying to get out the back. This is my boss right here. If y'all always want to know, Miss TJ. She's the one that does all the graphic designing, all the colors, all the features, and everything. So if anybody want to know, there she is, and she has a special guest coming along with us as we discuss something that I never knew anything about. The Negro League Football League. We know about Negro League baseball and the history of that league and so many players that came into the major leagues and so forth, but we never heard of a football league. Some of you may have. I didn't know anything about it, but and it's the first because football is my love. That's dear to my heart. I watch it. I played it. I've coached it. I can talk about it and everything. But, again, no further ado, Miss TJ brought this wonderful lady. I want her to introduce her to the show. And, hey, she's my TJ. She's y'all TJ. She's Mistress TJ. But Miss TJ.
Hi, this is our first crossover, what I'm calling a crossover episode. Atlanta CarCast meets the Fifth Quarter Sports Podcast. I especially wanted to be on this show tonight because our guest is a friend of mine, someone that I think is getting ready to launch a phenomenal project. It's long overdue, and I'm excited. I'm excited for her and excited for the conversation that we're going to have with her. So let me just introduce Erica. Erica Ahmed is the founder of Negro League Football and public health strategist with more than 2 decades of experience in public health governance and infrastructure, ethical guardrails, and multi-sector communications. She holds a Master of Science in Health Education from Columbia University and a Master's of Art in Counseling Psychology from Bowie State University. Inspired by her grandfather, Hubert E. Simpson Jr., who played for the Harrisburg Trojans and competed in the 1941 World Classic Championship, Erica launched Negro League Football to document, preserve, elevate, and largely forgotten history of Black football teams, players, owners, and communities. Her debut novel, The Owner's Box, The Inheritance, is the first installment in a historical fiction trilogy inspired by the real history of Negro League football and the enduring fight to build, protect, and pass what's ours. So with no further ado, let's bring Erica to the stage.
Hello,
Yes.
how are you all? Thank you for having me.
Good evening, Miss
Good
Erica.
evening.
Negro football. Wow. I mean, what inspired you to tell this story, and why is now the right time to bring it to the forefront?
Yeah, it's a thing. What inspired me was that after my grandfather passed, I'd always heard about, him playing football, but I didn't make the connection between like a Negro League football or even like something akin to Negro League baseball. And so about not even 2 years ago, I was like, let me just Google it and see what else is out there with other teams. I wanted to learn more about it. And I was just shocked at the paucity or lack of information. I couldn't believe it. I just thought it really was something much more robust in terms of, information like Negro League baseball, but that was not the case at all.
Wow. So, you had a question there?
No, go ahead. Let me do I got you. Go ahead.
For those just hearing about your work, how would you describe The Owner's Box?
Oh, so The Owner's Box is a fiction-based piece of work. It is a trilogy. And it's different like from a regular documentary or a book that sort of just, documents the trajectory of Negro League football because it's a story. And the backdrop is, it's the 1930s. It starts in Birmingham. Folks are in the Great Depression. So for Black folks, that's the Great Depression. People are dealing with, obviously, structural racism, but there's still a thriving community on this, this fictional street called 4th Avenue, where they have, Black-owned laundromats, restaurants, barbershops, rooming houses, all different kinds of things.
What I was going to ask with this, was this like just common workers in this time and place that was trying to find an outlet with sports? Because I know other leagues were going on. Because that tends to what happened. You have the milkman of that community, the teachers and so forth, and they trying to find something to do with the youth or they self. So was this something that inspired with this also?
Well, you'll see. Well, what was represented really was every stripe and type of black man that you can think of. You certainly had sanitation workers, you had the milkmen, but people like my grandfather, one of the first black accountants in the state of Pennsylvania.
Wow.
You had a lot of students from HBCUs, like his brother had gone to Morgan State and then ended up playing with him on the team. So again, it's same thing as like in the 30s when black communities were intact and you had a representative group of black folks living in those communities. It was the same thing with this team. There's, a representative group of black men.
Wow.
Okay. And they were, and like I said, they were just a local team, or did they expand and start traveling to play other cities and so forth? Did they get any funding from it, or, because I know, like I said, they was playing for fun, just to have an outlet, I know, at that time.
Well, yeah.
And probably like a networking type situation.
Well, that, and then also, just for a bit of context, there was an official racial ban that started in 1933. Prior to that, you had some black players in the NFL. But in 1933, yes. But in 1933, they had this, what they're calling a gentleman's agreement, where they agreed that after that, there would be no more black players. And so there were no black players in NFL until 1946. So you had some people that were playing that previously had been on NFL. You had some that were playing that wanted to at some point go to the NFL. So it was a mixed bag. But just for context, that's what was going on.
Okay, so it was. Go ahead, TJ. I'm sorry.
I was going to say the book centers on black ownership in football during the 1930s. Why do you think this part of history is so overlooked?
I think, it's overlooked, I think, because we haven't tapped into it. And in 2026, I think we deal with some of those same issues with having a lack of black ownership, whether it's in football or any other sports. I think it's really critical. I mean, we know we're kind of overrepresented, like around 70% in the NFL, but I don't know what ownership is, but it doesn't begin to creep anywhere near there. So I just see certain parallels between 1936 and 2026.
Right. So how much of Cornelius James and the Birmingham Hammers is rooted in real stories or, real life experiences? Did you get a chance to really have conversations with your grandfather about him playing?
That was going to be my name.
Absolutely not. Because again, when he talked about it, it was just, when he talked about it, like almost never. So I didn't even know to have this conversation with him. And the most, but at a minimum, was my grandmother. And what stuck out to me that she was saying that when they played the championship on City Island in Harrisburg, and they played the Brown Bombers from New York City, from Harlem, and they beat them. But this was such a big game, if you can imagine, in central Pennsylvania, Harrisburg, 1941, they had 4,000 people in attendance, including people like Pearl Bailey. That's what my grandmother was telling me this. Yeah.
Wow.
It was a big deal. Wow. And then I can say I had the pleasure last year of interviewing a gentleman who saw my grandfather play when he was 10. He's now 96.
Wow.
And what position did your grandfather play?
QB. Quarterback.
Oh.
Wow.
So he was calling plays and so forth and so forth.
As he did in life, correct? Yeah.
So how long did the league? How many games did they play, or how long did the league stay in place until Big Brother comes and try to take it from them, or try to take players from it? Of course, drafting or paying or trying to how what we do, what happens.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say how long. First of all, the formality of a league is still, to be determined. What I'm finding in my research is that there were teams, and some of them had lifelines or spans of 6 years, 8 years, but a lot of them didn't go past 2 or 3 years. And so for the Harrisburg Trojans, they may have been about 6 years, but they also, what I found out, and I was telling Tia, this research is fluid and it keeps going. There was another Negro League football that predated the Harrisburg Trojans that I'm just finding out about. And there were teams in Chicago, the Chicago Blackhawks, which is the current team of the hockey team right now. But that was the name of the 1929 Negro Football League. Detroit Wolverines. There were teams in Knoxville, Hampton Roads area, Virginia, LA. So there were teams all over.
So one of the questions in the chat is, are you talking about the NFL? So if you read the topic, we're talking about the untold legacy of the Black football Negro Football League. So no, we're not talking about the NFL. We're talking about what predated the NFL for Black
Yes.
athletes.
Yes, actually
And it,
sandwiched in between, because remember, they were in the NFL prior to the 1933 Gentlemen's Agreement. But yes.
okay.
Yes,
Mhm.
So
because I'm sorry, TJ. Go ahead.
no, go ahead.
Because the only thing I've ever seen we see documentation or in a documentary is always with college football. We seen Bear Bryant as a coach, a famous coach. He was at Texas A&M, then he went on to Alabama. And when the black players started getting integrated into college football and they were seeing their talent, first thing we heard them say, "Oh, I got to get me one of those." But you never knew where these players came from, and
Right.
and and things of that nature. And again, we still seeing it to this day of how the situation, how they go get athletes from here or there. We just get, it's a little money involved now, but I can imagine them playing under certain circumstances and conditions that they had to deal with that segregation and going across state lines and playing these games.
Oh, exactly. So one of the things, like in the book, is fiction, but I talk about that in the book too, because one of the focal points, or a primary focal point in the book, is that you have white team owners from Nashville and Chicago coming together, trying to first and foremost to buy Cornelius James, who's the star of the book, trying to buy his team. And when he says no, then they said, well, that's fine. I don't want to tell too much of the book, but they're basically saying, well, then if you don't want to sell it, it's okay. We'll still get it from you. But
So cool.
there's a legacy there, because not only is this something that he built it from his grandfather, who was enslaved and purchased this land. He took part of this land to build the stadium, and the land that his grandfather chose was based on what he learned from his mother, who had been enslaved from the Senegambia, but she understood land and elevation. So I mean, there's this really rich and robust story about how this land came to be and how this football field came to be and what this team means to this Birmingham community.
Yes, yes.
So one of the biggest themes in your book that, we kind of read your overview is ownership, which you just touched on. So why is ownership so critical in sports, especially for Black communities?
I mean, what you don't own is not yours, pure and simple. It's like one of the quotes in the book, one of the characters says, the land you don't own means you're simply a tenant on that land.
Absolutely. Also, built from red clay. Being in Georgia, a New York girl living in Georgia, red clay is something that I've just, kind of figured out. No, seriously, like when you go to Africa, I mean, and this is going to get a little deep. When you go to Africa, a lot of the dirt is red, right? So built from red clay carries weight. What does that symbolize in the story and in real life? And why was it something so resonant throughout the theme of this book?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of symbolism there. I too am not from the South, but when I decided to start this book off in Birmingham, I had to learn a little bit more, just about the historical backdrop of it. And the symbolism around red clay in the book was that not only did you have this reddish brown earth, it also had been drenched in Black blood, for for 2 centuries. And so that's part of like why that's like a sort of a recurring theme and mentioned in the book. It's not just about the land. It's literally the blood soaked land,
Right. Do you think we've made enough progress when it comes to Black ownership in sports?
Not unless something's changed from no, absolutely not. I mean, I think it's great that you have players playing and that, they're being well compensated. But again, that doesn't begin to speak to the money generated for those who are who hold ownership. That's a whole different ballgame. It's a whole different conversation.
Y'all can see me again.
Yes.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, just like you were saying, like right now, a lot of times with the draft, they say that's like a slave trade going on now because they poking and prodding, trying to check and see if you are eligible enough to even get drafted. So I can just imagine with your book and things that you're touching on with this, some of that is part of this, what they use to pick these players out and bring them on. And like you said, the ownership part of it, it's always been that. It's never been like right now. We just got a black owner with Magic Johnson having some of his stake into the Washington Commanders, but it's a lot that we don't have there, and they do not open up the door to let you in.
I totally agree. Absolutely. Absolutely. Again, like to your point, I think all of this, is a trajectory, and it all sort of rolls into even where we are now, where a lot of progress has been made, but you can still see the remnants of what was.
Right. So Cornelius James' story is deeply tied to generational inheritance. What message are you sending about legacy and passing things down through this book?
Never forget the ancestors. Never take for granted what they've done. Never dismiss their investment, no matter how small or, minimal you think it is. Look at the context. You know what I mean? People could dismiss, his grandfather and say, oh, he bought 47 acres for $1 an acre. Or his great grandmother, she was a slave, and all she did was tell him all she came with was knowing how to cultivate rice and how to cultivate land. Well, if she didn't know how to cultivate land and pass that on, that generational knowledge that survived the Middle Passage and went from the Zangambia to Birmingham, they wouldn't be where they are.
We have a question right here from both. Are there any stars that you may have heard of? In baseball, of course, we heard of Josh Gibson, Sasha Page. Were there any football names we can go and research possibility?
There are some people you can research on the website. The problem is that they had this ban for so long that players simply aged out. I don't know what the average career was then, but now it's like about 4 years. So even if it were 6 or 8 years back then, which I don't know, because remember, they're simply almost playing like with leather scullies. They don't even have real helmets. You know what I mean? That's a whole, I talk about some of the brutality. That's a whole different kind of football. But yes, there's some players that were sort of stars in their own right. But again, so many missed that window.
Yes,
right.
Of course.
So we spoke earlier today, and you mentioned that there's so many teams that you're still discovering. How much research and how much time did you put into doing background research to even write this book?
Oh my God, I have no idea. It seems like 2 lifetimes. I'm not sure. Because there was research that I had to do just to get the website up, because I knew, like I said, I knew peripherally about the Harrisburg Trojans, my grandfather's team. But then when I said, well, who did they play? They had to have played somebody, Right. So when I started doing that research, that just went on, and that's still going on. So that's where I'm finding the teams. In terms of the research for the book, I used my website, but then I also just took some time to do, go through newspaper clippings. Then I also just was like playing back conversations I would have with my grandfather, with my great grandparents, to sort of put me in that space of even just things like the language I use, how they spoke, language from that era. What was going on? There was the Great Depression going on. These people are 1, maybe 2 generations removed from formal slavery, but they're steeped in Jim Crow. So, just really looking at the history of what was going on, doing my own research. But then also, I will say, my dad was very much he was a poli-sci major. So he was very much about the business of history here and globally. So a lot of things, to his credit, I did simply know.
Gotcha.
So how did Black families protect what they built during times when everything could be taken away from them?
With everything they had? Yeah.
According to your research.
Well, Malcolm, by any means necessary, maybe it's a conversation, maybe it's not, I'll just leave it there. It sort of spans the gamut in terms of how you protect what is yours. And that's the running thing too. We keep we don't take anyone else's, but we keep what is ours.
Always. I am so enthused about this because a lot of times we got to learn our own history, and find out our past, because it's so much, like you say, with this red clay. I'm from Georgia, born and raised. We've been playing in red clay since I was a kid. It is what it is. I done played on dirt fields and all that, and it hurts when you fall on it sometimes, So it is interesting from when you go from the state of Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, New Orleans, because I have family in between all these parts, and you
Mhm.
find out these different things. And now you got me enthused. Well, now I need to go find out what players are from Georgia,
Yes.
and see. And I want everybody in the chat. This is something that we need to figure out. I mean, because like I said, we hear, like I said, Josh Gibson, Satchel Paige. You hear those names all the time, and they had to put some of their records, alongside Major League Baseball records, and it's no
Recently.
comparison.
Yeah.
It's no comparison at all.
Exactly. Yeah, and I'd like to say, like, you're a native of Georgia. People that are native, it doesn't even matter what state. If you know of a team, because again, I don't know all the teams. I don't even always know where to go look, and I pour over newspaper clippings. I go into other databases, but there are people that will say, might say, "Oh, my great great uncle played, or my great uncle, or my dad played." So if anybody knows, like, please reach out to me. I will gladly have someone put it on our website, because it's critical that we honor the ancestors and that we tell their story, because the current players that are playing in NFL, they didn't just get there. They got there on the shoulders of these nameless, largely nameless men.
Of course.
So, what was the most challenging part of writing this book?
I think it was, well, first of all, it was the football thing. I had to do a lot of research because I don't know a lot about football, period. And I certainly didn't know about the different plays and the different things, that they positions they executed, at the brutality of the game. But then also just telling the backstory. I found myself being very emotional, and it was very hard. And these aren't even my people per se, but they are my people. So it really sort of, touched me. And at times I had to just, take a step back from it.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Is there a particular scene or a character that means the most to you personally?
There's a couple, but the one where Adiola, who's his great grandmother from the Senegambia, where she says this prayer every day to a family and to her mom that she'll never see again. She says it in Birmingham, but she's held on to it, and she's held on to her name. We never mentioned her name given by her master. We always reference her as Adiola, the name whispered to her when she was just a little girl and someone thought she was going to be great in life. The other scene is when they're being freed, and a young woman, she tells the slave master, basically, God lives in me. But if I don't leave at this moment that I've been freed, he won't live in me anymore, because I'll do to you what you did to my pappy and to my baby boy.
Wow. How long of a process was it?
Oh my goodness. It's been about 5.5 months now. I'm at the very, very end. I'm working with the editor. We're going back and forth. I've become a bit of a going to us both, but we are trying to get to the finish line. I just want to make sure that because I'm not a trained writer, I'm not a novelist. So I just want to make sure that at least it makes sense to people, and that we get to the end of book one, because like I said, there are 2 more books coming, subsequent books. This is a trilogy, and this is book 1.
Okay. So why is it important for today's athletes, especially younger ones, to understand this history? We've had some people in the comments saying it's not important, that we won't have a positive future if we linger in the past, which I think is an incorrect way of looking at things. I don't want to get political, but other people celebrate really horrible past. And every time we talk about our past, it's a problem. So in your words, why is it important for athletes, especially younger athletes, to understand this history?
You literally just said it for me. I mean, everyone else. First of all, you have to have a roadmap. You have to know from whence you came so that you don't repeat it and that you're able to grow. You're always supposed to reach from your ancestors' shoulders, not their ankles. And you won't reach from their shoulders if you do not know their history and their story. And to your point, everyone else celebrates their history. It's a good thing. I don't know, sometimes when we do it for whatever reason, it's problematic. But we need to understand our history, where we came from, because like I said, like they always say, if you don't, you're destined to repeat it. So why would you not want to know? Why would you want to be operating blindly and in the dark and from a disadvantage?
I'm sorry, Miss Erica. Somebody don't want me to talk about football tonight. They keep taking me in and out. I don't know what's going on.
All good.
But I'm like I said, I want to challenge everyone that's listening to this, looking at it. We need to get a timeline together and try to figure out the players. And if we had teams, like you said, your grandfather played with, because it will be hard to find some of them. But even if we can find the teams, that is a start. And how they traveled across state lines to play these games in these facilities without getting, lynched, more or less. Because you tell them you got some boys from the South going up north, so the guys from the north coming down south to play these games without having no issues. Mr. Kent, Ms. Erica, you want to know where you were from?
Okay, so I was born in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, but I was raised in Maryland.
Okay. So I'm still, I've got like a whole bunch of questions, and they're kind of following the same theme. How does this story connect to today's conversation around equity and ownership and representation in sports?
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just, to me, it's two things. It's a parallel track, and it's just it's just a continuation of where we need to be. So, I mean, you talk about things that are it's not just that it's inequity, it's inherent inequity. It's generational inequity. And so, again, the point is you have to be able to know where you came from, where to know where you can go, and also to know how and where to fill that gap.
So is this a juicy story? Can we expect some romance in this?
Ain't nobody doing no romance. This is football.
There's a teeny bit of budding romance, but it will flourish more in book 2 and book 3. There's a wee bit.
Okay. For the female listeners, we might want to know what Cornelius has got going on.
Oh, I know what I wanted to bring up, because we had this topic the other night. A lot of times people don't realize what sports does in the community, with bringing camaraderie together and things of that nature, and the skill set of what it does for the youth, and the people skills that it builds. It's deals that get made in certain sports avenues. Like I said, with football, just for myself, the relationships I've made helps me what I do in life now, dealing with people customer service wise, because I've seen every walk of life dealing with on a field in coaching with the kids. So with that, some of that in your book, would you touch on some of that, how they had to juggle, being regular people and then coming to the football field, managing their family life with, like you said, this is a brutal sport. And who was there to deal with their injuries and so forth? Their wives, their girlfriends, did they have families and children and so forth?
Yeah, well, in the book, we talk about them leaving Titusville and the steel mill to go straight to practice. They would get off like that 7 a.m. shift and head straight to practice. So, and then also the fact, like in the book, it's a fictional team, Hammers, but again, you can see this all across the country. These teams help to anchor these Black communities. Like I said, it was the team, it was the barbershops, the restaurants, the churches. These were really anchors in the community. And so we talk about that in the book too. It's not just losing the team. And let me be clear. He says it's throughout the book. The team is not profitable. Ain't no money being made from the team. The team is not profitable, but the team is richer in other ways because they are anchoring the community. They're securing the community. And also I have children in the book that are like at the practice and they're so excited. And, some of the players are teaching them different moves. And so, I mean, to really show how this team really anchors and is a really robust part of the community.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful. I got to go get this book.
Absolutely. And the book is dropping when?
July 10th.
July 10th.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And is it going to be directly from your website, negroleaguefootball.com? Is it going to be in bookstores, Amazon?
All the above. Yes, exactly. I mean, like the first book signing in Atlanta is already on the books. They're just waiting for me. But yes, it'll be in bookstores. It'll be on Amazon KDP. And it will probably be on digital to digital. I believe it's another platform. They do like mass distribution, sort of like Ingram Spark. And on my website. Yeah.
Okay.
Where
So
were your? Go ahead, TJ.
I was going to say, what do you hope readers and listeners take away after experiencing this book?
Just the importance of, well, a couple of things, but really the importance of legacy. Again, the importance of ancestral respect and awareness, and really looking at, the history of Negro League sports and recognizing that it's Black history, but it's also very much American history.
Yes, yes, yes. Yes. And where will you have your book signing? Where are you going to be?
Well, it's in Atlanta. I don't want to say yet because they're waiting on me to finish up. But no, I'll definitely give you all the information.
Yes,
But
please.
it's right in the city.
Okay. Yes, please. So I can come out and knock
And
over your table.
we'll
Thank you.
definitely be there. We will definitely be there. This is part of a trilogy, right?
Correct.
So what can we expect in the next the Owner's Box series?
Yes, I've been taking really, really rough notes because I don't want to like convolute my brain. But like I said, I'm gonna really build out some of the primary characters. There'll be a bump in the romance department, a gentle bump.
Okay.
We'll talk more about their families, and also I'll talk more about more teams and integrate more cities. Like in the next book, we'll do like more like in Chicago, New Orleans. We'll hit the bottoms in Mississippi. So there'll be some branching out.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
If you could sit down with any historical Black sports owner or figure, who would it be, and what would you ask them?
Oh my goodness. I think now, honestly, my grandfather, since we didn't have this conversation. And then also there were other players too, I'll say from his team, that were like in any other space, they would have been superstars in the NFL. A gentleman named Willie Moon, Lunch Atwell. They were phenomenal players. So I would love to sit down with them and just hear their story. And I wish I could just time travel them into the NFL 2026 because they deserve everything.
That's interesting. That is so interesting.
Yeah,
So
I'm taken back right now.
what sport? Just a couple of quick questions for you, and this is not related to your book.
Okay.
What sport had you hooked first growing up? This is a sports podcast, so we talk about all kinds of sports.
So my dad was a football player. He played football at Temple. He was actually drafted to go to the Orioles as a teenager, but my grandfather insisted that he go to college. So, and I was the only child, and I was not a boy. There was a lot of pressure. So he had me playing tennis very early on. I played lacrosse for about 2 years in junior high school. I was a cheerleader, though. That was mostly my thing. So.
All right. And what's your favorite team currently? No switching allowed. So.
Well, for football, it has to be the Commanders. I'm a DMV lady, Lord. So I'm sorry.
I don't discuss my team.
I don't dislike the Falcons. My family. I don't dislike the Eagles, but I'm just saying.
Okay, who's your all-time sports GOAT?
Really, TJ?
Man.
Yeah, got it. Who's your all-time GOAT?
Don't matter what sport.
Doesn't matter what sport.
Doesn't matter what sport.
I grew up in an era. Well, I have a couple of different eras. Like I love Dr. J and Wilt Chamberlain, but then I also grew up in an era of John Thompson. So I love the whole Hoyas team from that era, and rest in peace, Len Bias. Still heartbreaking to this day. So
I have. It's funny that you brought his name up because the argument. I was a kid, so I never got to see him play like that. But I was told. Somebody wouldn't have all the rings that he has if he never passed.
Baby.
And you see what I'm doing?
Yes, I'm very clear on MJ versus LB. Yes.
Yeah, so that's something that has always been fuss. One person in the chat, he's a Boston Celtic fan, and he fusses at me all the time and said, if what unfortunately happened to Len Bias, it wouldn't have happened, your boy would have had some problems on his hands.
Red Auerbach, new vest.
And
all right. Anyway, college sports.
Hey, you hush.
College sports or pro sports? What's your pick?
Oh, I'm so torn because basketball. I'm more of a basketball person, and I like college ball, but I think I like NBA better. But again, that era of, the Hoyas, of Syracuse, like I just would watch that with my dad like constantly. Like that was my thing. Sweet 16 back then, it was very different. We would even go to some of the games and watch Georgetown play. So yeah.
So are you so do you see the difference in the demographic of what's going on in college sports now, with the NIL money? That's the influx now. How some people saying it's ruining the game.
I mean, again, it's not exactly my wheelhouse, but I can see how people would say that, and that it's disruptive, because as soon as something goes awry or doesn't work for people, they put themselves in the portal. I'm in the portal, put themselves in the portal, which was, that was unheard of. And so I can see, it does disrupt any, real sense of continuity or even team building.
It does. I really think it does. One last quick round question, and then I got a few more. Just one words. Football season or NBA playoffs? What are you watching?
NBA playoffs. Oh, I'm sorry. What was the last part?
I was going to say, what are you watching first? You
said NBA playoffs. NBA playoffs. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Now my next group, just real quick, rapid fire. One or the other. Tailgate or VIP suite?
VIP suite.
Favorite game day food?
I like a burger. I know people like lemon pepper wings. I'm a burger guy.
In Atlanta, it's definitely a lemon pepper wing.
I don't.
If you could own a team, what city are you picking?
I'm so biased. I mean, I don't want to say DC, but DC. Like, I'm so biased. So,
what team? I'm playing.
I'm gonna keep the Commanders. I'm not gonna take any trade. We're not gonna be like Indianapolis did with the Colts when I was growing up. We're not gonna do that.
All right. Okay. And to you, what is the best sports movie of all time?
Ooh.
I think, was it the Titans movie?
Remember the Titans?
Remember the Titans, yeah. And not because it was filmed locally, but yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie. Great movie.
Yeah.
Great movie.
It was a great movie. I think Rocky had to be one of my top. And
I forgot about Rocky and boxing. You're absolutely right. Very compelling.
Yeah, and then Creed after that. So
yes.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that. No.
Really?
No, not Creed and Rocket. No, I wouldn't have never thought that.
What would you
great soundtrack.
What would you think from Mr. Perrier? What would you have thought? I would have said
something to do with them cowboy.
You're not gonna rope me into having a Cowboys conversation.
No, I'm not roping you. I would not think that, because if you looking at, certain movies, Rocket, interesting.
Rocky was it was a compelling story. That's all.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Which one? Rocket 1, 2, or 3 is the question.
Well, the first one, obviously.
Okay.
The very first one.
Okay.
Yeah, the very first one.
Okay.
Well, Erica, thank you so much. This was fun. I know that we'll have you back once the book is out and we read it.
Yes.
Once we read the book, I think that we have a whole lot more to talk about. How can people reach you? Where can they get in touch with you? And how can we find more information out about the Negro League football?
Yeah, they can reach me at any social media channels. Well, actually on Instagram, on Threads, Facebook at the Negro League or Negro League Football. If they want to email me, they can email me at info@the Negro League Football, all one word, .com.
Cool. Awesome. Well, Mr. Derek, floor is yours.
I would like to say thank you for joining us here, Ms. Erica, on the Fifth Quarter Podcast. And again, chat listeners, everyone, this is the type of things that we're trying to do here on Fifth Quarter, is bring guests in to educate us in all different genres of sports, books, medias, TV, whatever. If any one of you guys or young ladies have anything that you want to bring to the table, we are here for it, because we can learn from each other. And this is part of history Miss Erica has brought to the table today, and I love it. And again, I appreciate everyone for tuning in here for Fifth Quarter. Miss TJ, thank you for gracing me with your presence. The queen is here. Miss Erica, I gotta say the queen is here. I want to say thank you. And again, Miss Erica, you're always welcome. You know, when your commanders start getting their butt whooped by my Eagles, we will have you back on.
Thank you. Absolute pleasure. Thank you all for allowing me to come on here and talk about Negro League football. They all have transitioned, but they are now ancestors and they are deserving.
Yes. And
July 10th, we're looking forward to the release, and we're going to get that book and read it and come back and talk about Cornelius and the hammer.
Okay. Thank you all. Have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Yeah.
That was interesting.
Beyond.
TJ,
I'm so enthused because it's so many things that's out here that we need to do history on, because we've had our hand in everything across the board. It don't matter if it's sports, business, anything, politics, inventions, we've everywhere, you know, to the point of who decided to put pig skin together to make a football. You see what I'm saying? Who decided to put chalk down to say we're going to play a 100-yard field, we're going to put the goalposts up, who came up with the point structure. Because a lot of times people don't even know why is it 1st and 10? Why is it you got 4 downs to get, 10 yards and so forth? What are some of the penalties, some of the positions and so forth? So when we open up this type of thing, it's an educational thing.
Right. Absolutely. And I think, what a lot of people don't know about me, well, a lot of people do, a lot of people don't, is that, my brother played in the NFL. He played 10 seasons, which is a long time. He played in the USFL and the NFL. And I've seen more football games than most. I've been to more games than most. He played at a really historic time. He played from 1980. I was in the 5th grade. So that had to be 83, 84 until 1991. So he played from my 5th grade till my freshman year of college, and freshman, sophomore year of college. And I've met some legendary football players. He played in the Eric Dickerson, Jerry Rice days, and this sport is something that means a lot to me personally, because of my brother, and also because of the people that I've met in close proximity to him. I don't think he even knows anything about the Negro League.
And I was going to just ask you, when you were saying that, have you seen the difference from then to now, how the game has evolved, has changed? And it was more brutal to me back then than it is now. And the less money that these guys got paid to play this game. Even him, like you say, it's a blessing that he got to play 10 years.
Right. I mean, and he played in a time where I know I shared the ESPN article with you. He played for the New Orleans Saints, and on his rookie team, there are only 8 of them still alive because the rest of them have died from CTE related injuries. They've died. And a lot of them died young, in their 30s and their 40s. Several of them committed suicide because they had I don't want to say interesting. They had brain things going on and committed suicide. So the sport was extremely brutal back then. It's still brutal now, but there's a lot more precautionary things in place than there's ever been. However, it's still such a horribly brutal sport, but I hope that it improves and we can take some more precautions to keep these players safe.
You see me, TJ?
Yes. No, I don't see you, but I hear you.
Oh, you can hear me. Yeah, yes. Let's keep doing this. But that's what I was concerned like. And I can't wait to meet your brother, because I would love to get on here and pick his brain and go through some things that we could talk about football, because I know he has an opinion with what the money that they're getting now compared to what he was getting, because is he getting a pension now?
Yes.
That he is getting a pension, because we never heard not getting about his pocket, but just to know how much is that. Is it worth it? Was it worth it, you playing all these years to get whatever pension? I know a lot of them are still fighting for health care. for them playing and just whatever, and the things that they have to deal with their bodies.
Right. I can't even tell you how many surgeries he's had within the last 5 years, even. I mean, it's been surgery after surgery. Um, it's really it's been a brutal sport for him, and he's not old. You know, he's not an old man. He he is in pain constantly, constantly in pain.
To this day, he's still.
Yeah, yeah. I was just saying, when you kind of went out, he's probably had, I don't know, maybe 7, 8, 10 surgeries within the last 4 or 5 years.
Yeah,
On elbows, wrists, knee, everything hurts.
Everything hurts. I know I was Jerome Bettis is one of the guys that says how long it takes him to walk down a flight of steps. So I can, like, he played running back. So he was getting hit every play. And a lot of people don't realize when you see the big hits, yeah, that's a big hit, but it's some little small hits that take you out. And you didn't, look at it on TV. You say, okay, he got hit. That don't hurt that bad. You know what I'm saying? And he's gone for a while. And then when you were talking about the CTE team, a lot of them, when they do retire, if they don't find something close to proximity with them being gladiators, because that's what they are, this is the part where, they have mental issues and, suicide creeps in and things. And they, unfortunately, because that's all they've been doing since the age of 5 all the way up to 30, 35 years old to a certain extent. So I always wanted to tackle that, talking to a veteran player. How was your transition from playing the sport, retiring, and going into another form of life?
Absolutely.
So, yes. So, but I thank you, TJ, for coming on tonight. I really appreciate it, bringing the guests here at fifth quarter. And we got to do this more often. I think the people love it. Got to do this more often. And thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Again, I really appreciate it. We got to keep doing things like this, keep building the brand, the show from Atlanta CarCast with the cars to the sports show. This is what we do here. Please, everybody, it doesn't take much to hit the like button, share, tell a friend that can tell a friend. If there's anything y'all want us to talk about, you want to become a guest on the show, or if you have anybody you want myself or TJ to interview, talk to, or you want us to come out, it's not a problem. We're here. You know what I'm saying? We're here for the people and so forth. But again, thank you everyone for tuning in tonight. And we are out.